Hello, everyone, and welcome to ReelQuick episode 34. Today, we are going to be reviewing, as requested by our patron Marcellus, The Last Black Man in San Francisco. This is part of our A24 drafts a week ago at this point now, and I think Cam had been the only one who ever saw it. He didn't have it logged on Letterboxd, so Cam finally got a chance to log it. George and
I didn't know you'd seen it.
George, Seth, and myself got a chance to watch it, but of course George is missing today. He's not going to be able to make it, but Seth, Cam, and myself are here to review the movie. First, we got to get a disclaimer out of the way. So, on the podcast this week, we mentioned Jonathan Majors and talked about magazine dreams and, just basically his year that's coming up ahead of him. We filmed that on Saturday before all the allegations and the charges had come out. So, this is being recorded on Sunday, which is after we heard about all the allegations and charges that came out. So, we just want to say right at the beginning, obviously disavow everything that he's being charged for. We're 100% against it. First and foremost, all of our thoughts are with the woman who is in the hospital. We hope that she's having a good recovery. We hope that she's okay. Just a very, very shitty situation for everyone involved. And we chose to review this movie this week before knowing about any of this. And we're still going to review the movie and do justice to reviewing the movie. But just have to get that disclaimer out there that, we know the news. It's horrible news. All our thoughts right now are with the woman and making sure that she's okay. Since we're recording this on a Sunday, all the charges and allegations literally just came out. This is being uploaded on Friday this week, so that's a lifetime away from right now. So there could be
we don't know.
Yeah. There could be so much more news that comes out. There could be news that comes out that makes it way worse than we know. It could be better than we know. We just don't know where we're at right now on Sunday, but all we can say definitively right now is really shitty situation. If everything that's come to light is true, then it's just reprehensible and there's just no defending that. But we just have so little information right now that all we can say right now is we just hope the woman is okay. And we kind of just have to wait and see what else comes out. But we just have to get that out of the way before the review. We're still going to review Last Black Man in San Francisco. We're not going to just knock the movie or review the movie lesser because of that. We just want to say we know what's all been going down. We're acknowledging that and just getting that out of the way before we start the review. But with all that being said and that disclaimer set aside, and again, we don't know what new information will come out between when we're filming this and when we're uploading this. But let's get into the actual review of the movie. For this one, I don't think we need to split it up like spoiler, non-spoiler. I wouldn't really say there's this isn't the type of movie that you can get spoiled or anything. So don't feel you need to withhold anything. But we'll start with Cam because you had seen it already and you just saw it for a second time. What's your overall thoughts on The Last Black Man in San Francisco?
Yeah, so sorry again if you hear my son yelling, he's just chilling. But like I said, I watched it in school. Was quite inebriated, so I remembered the basic plot and then that Jonathan Majors was in it. That's about what I remembered. And I remembered liking it, but I love this movie. Disclaimer of, if everything that comes out is true, fuck Jonathan Majors. A lot of our review, and we were talking about this yesterday in the morning, a lot of our review is going to be praising him as an actor in this role because he does a very, very good job in this. And I watched this, was it Friday? Yeah, so I watched this Friday. And I think you both watched it either yesterday in the afternoon time. Yeah. So yeah, he does great. Jimmy Fails does great. I didn't realize this was not an autobiography, but was kind of about his life, or about him. I didn't realize that at first. So that was interesting to read. I said this on the pod. I hate that this 5-star, because I gave this movie a 93 out of 100. So when it gets that close, it's should I just move it up to the 5-star rating? But I didn't. And I think that's mostly because there is a lot of, I think Seth mentioned this in his review as well. There's a lot of style in this movie. And sometimes I do feel like the style lacks the substance a little, or takes away from the substance just a little. It's not an issue for me, on a major level, but I do think it, takes it from that 5-star rating a little bit. But I absolutely love this movie. I think it's incredibly shot. I think it's looking at it is beautiful. I think the music's really good. Obviously the performances, like I touched on. Sorry. And then Yeah, that's really like my overarching general review. I'll let you guys give your thoughts as well.
Yeah, I'll just quickly read the couple sentence synopsis because I forgot to do that. But based on Letterboxd, here's just kind of a quick overview of the movie. Jimmy Fails dreams of reclaiming the Victorian home his grandfather built in the heart of San Francisco. Joined on his quest by his best friend Mont, who's played by Jonathan Majors, Jimmy searches for belonging in a rapidly changing city that seems to have left them behind. Seth, what are your takeaways of the movie?
Yeah, so obviously this was the first watch, like I said before. I ended up giving it a come get a 4.5, didn't I? Yeah. I give it a 4. It was really, really good. Really liked it. I think I'll get to a couple of the negatives I had, but with a film like this, I think a lot of the positives really outweigh the negatives. I think it's a really touching story on gentrification in the San Francisco area, on culture. I think visually it was really, really good. It was kind of vibrant. It was colorful. I think it was laid out really well. And it wasn't like, I don't know if you thought this, but I couldn't pinpoint the style to any particular director. Because obviously I think this was his debut. Joe Talbot? That might be wrong. I think it was.
No, yeah, I believe you're right.
Something Talbot.
Yes,
yeah,
you're correct, Joe Talbot.
Okay, yeah. So with a lot of like directorial debuts, what I often find is it's kind of not derivative in a sense of a negative, but you see the influence that they kind of get. I didn't really get much from this. I got a little bit of kind of Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing maybe, but I think it was such a unique style that I wasn't really used to. Really, really like the opening setting. I think Cam mentioned it. The music was fantastic. We'll get onto it, but I think the end scene was the kind of the play scene at the end was really great, really, really good. But I think my main negatives from this, which are small negatives, because like I said, I still give it 4 stars, so really liked it. I think they present a lot of ideas, but they kind of, for me, they presented so many ideas and they just kind of threw loads of things at a wall and kind of were like, okay, let's just see what sticks for people here, which is fine. That's the way a lot of filmmakers work. But for me, it was like they'd have these conversations and then it wouldn't really lead to anywhere. And I think they were kind of not prioritizing style over substance, but maybe just having these ideas and not really exploring them. But I think I said this in my review. I think everything else, the performances, which we'll get into, I don't think I need to do a disclaimer on Jonathan Majors. If he did it, he's whatever. But if he didn't, whatever, we'll not go into that anymore. But he was amazing. Remind me of the guy's name. What was he going?
Jimmy Fails.
Jimmy Fails. Yeah, he was also great. Performances across the board really good, colorful, vibrant, beautiful looking. Music was great stylistically. I couldn't really spot an inspiration from it, but I think it looked, cinematography was incredible. I think stylistically it really worked. And I think that made up for the lack of idea exploration, which was my only kind of negative, my only drawback. But yeah, really enjoyed it. 4 out of 5. Liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like Seth was saying, I think Joe Talbot had a lot he was trying to say with this movie. I think the theme of like gentrification really worked for me. I think he knocked that one out of the park.
Same.
But I think there's a lot of other ideas that were a little more half-baked. But I think on the gentrification side, if you like just tried to stick with tackling that, would have been a lot more complete of a narrative. But yeah, like you mentioned, this movie is very stylistic, and something about the style that Talbot was able to bring to this movie just scratched my brain just the right way. I wouldn't say it's exactly like a Wes Anderson movie, but it was like the similar part of my brain was scratched by this. That was a Wes Anderson movie, just like oozing with style, a little quirky. Some shades of like Adam McKay in there too, kind of with the whole gentrification thing of just like being so over the top satire. When like the tour group's coming by and he's on his roof, like that whole interaction's like that just felt very Adam McKay. So I can see what Seth is saying, that like you can feel a lot of the influences from other directors. But that's the first thing I thought. It's just like, especially the first like 10 minutes, and it kind of carried that style throughout the rest of the movie. It just was hitting the part of brain, satisfying the part of my brain that usually only gets satisfied by like a Wes Anderson, where it's just such like a unique, quirky style that's so different, but just like works.
I've seen it compared to Moonlight, Barry Jenkins' Moonlight as well, in terms of the way they shot and the vibrancy of it, which I find
interesting. I can see that in terms of like the cinematography and the vibrancy, but I wouldn't
just the visuals.
Because Moonlight was, I wouldn't say Moonlight was like quirky, whereas this I would call this a little quirky.
No.
But yeah, no. From a filmmaking side, I really love this. I gave this movie a 5-star just because I absolutely loved the style of it and the performances were amazing. I think for 80% of this movie I was watching, I was like, this is a really good movie that I'm really loving the style of, and then the final scene was kind of what just put it over the edge for a 5-star for me.
The final scene of him rowing whatever you want to call that, like a boat or tugboat or whatever, whatever, the canoe. That like is up there. Not like we talked about it with the Sound of Metal review, how the final scene, Tyler, I think you said like that scene makes the movie, which it really does. In this, I think this one does almost just as well. Maybe not just as good, because I think that's one of my favorite final scenes ever in the Sound of Metal. But this one is up there, and I think I agree with you. I think it really does add to the movie a ton.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, there's just not really much I can nitpick from this movie other than what Seth is saying. I do agree that there is a lot trying to be said, and I don't think he succeeded in saying everything. But all the performances were incredible. Like, obviously, before all the news came out, like I was like praising Jonathan Majors for his performance, which still is a great performance. But that's not to take away Jimmy Fails, who I thought was incredible. I just feel like his arc and dialogue he was given just allowed him to stay in like the very good, great territory, whereas Jonathan Majors was given some scenes that are like the type, an actor craves in order to really push the emotion over the top and be like a really powerful scene. I didn't really feel like Jimmy Fails ever had a scene like that where he had to do something out of this world acting, but I think everything he did was just really good the whole time. Obviously those two basically had to carry the movie on their back because so much of it was involved in the narrative on them. And that whole play scene I loved. The rowing scene.
Yeah, I was gonna talk the play scene is something that's like you go to, and it's almost as if like your friend sets up like this one man show, because he's got like half his face one character and half his face the other, and he's flipping back and forth, and you're like, if this weren't a fantastic performance, this would be like the stupidest play ever. But it was so damn good that like that's something, like you said, that an actor kind of craves, in the sense they're playing two people in one scene and they're doing it as if it's like a one-man show play. I hate this because I always feel like, just news coming out, I feel like I always have to give the disclaimer, which sucks, but
we've done it already.
Yeah, I know. It just is weird. It's a weird feeling. But like he does so damn well with that one-man show that it just like, I think that scene brings, and like the final 20 minutes of this movie bring this from like a, high 80s. It probably would have always been a 4.5 for me, but from a high 80s to a low 90s, like just so damn good, honestly.
Yeah, I think for me, like, Tyler, I think you mentioned, I think the gentrification side of it actually was done pretty well. I just think when he started to go into other things like masculinity, it felt kind of aimless a lot of the time. A lot of the sequences with those guys, I just thought they're saying a lot without saying much at all, which added really anything. I don't think that was done that well. And I think when you've got performances as good as Jonathan Majors and Jimmy Fails, and also the other minor roles were really good as well. I think obviously the characters, were good. I just think you actually listen to their conversations, they weren't saying that much outside of the usual culture aspects. And I think if Joe Talbot had gone for just a directorial, just a film straightly on gentrification, on culture, without delving into these other aspects such as masculinity, male masculinity and stuff like that, I think it would have been a little bit better. It just, sometimes it kind of lost me, and I didn't really know where we were going. But then I do think that films like this may require another watch. A lot of films which tackle more than one thing require more than one watch. It just felt kind of like aimless at times, and kind of we were, they were just, like I said before, throwing stuff at walls and seeing what sticks. But I think everything else, the play scene was really great. Jonathan Majors was fantastic in that, and I was just completely enthralled by the final scene. I think, to be honest, I would have probably gone maybe a 3.5 if not for the final, well, not the final scene, but the play sequence. I think that was just great. I thought that was written really well. I also really liked the opening. I did think some of the first hour was a little bit whimsical, I guess. Neither here nor there. But I think it really picked up. Obviously, it was like a 2-hour film. I think it really picked up in the second hour.
I don't know when it. Sorry to cut you off. Just like in the first hour, I think it was when they're skateboarding, and like it's Jimmy on the front and they're on one skateboard and Mont's on the back. I really love that scene, and just kind of like shows like how they see San Francisco. And then there's later, I think there's Jimmy skateboarding, and there's some song that I like made note of.
I know which one you mean. I can't know exactly.
But I love that that scene because it looks beautiful and the song works so well, and it's just him going through the city on his skateboard. I don't know why, but I love that scene, and I wish I remembered the song. I looked it up, but I don't think I. Thanks, Bailey. I looked it up. I don't think I.
That had to be a tough scene to film because, like, Jonathan Majors and Jimmy Fails aren't like small guys, and I don't care what size you are. Two people skateboarding at once on one skateboard's got to be tough.
Normal size skateboard.
But I just think this is such a cool movie in terms of just the indie vibe of it. So sick, just because so Joe Talbot is the director, and he co-wrote this and directed this with his best friend from his childhood, Jimmy Fails, who's the star of the movie and the titular character, or the main character of the movie, who just goes by his actual real life name. And Joe Talbot's from San Francisco. He's born and raised there. So is Jimmy Fails. So it's just sweet that Jimmy Fails is the subject in the movie. He's also the main actor in the movie. And it's a movie about the city, because the movie's about San Francisco itself just as much as it is about Jimmy Fails and Jonathan Majors' character. So the fact that just thinking about these two guys just writing this movie together about the city they grew up in and how it's changing and all the cultural impacts of that, just kind of sweet. That's just what you really look for in an indie film, where it's a movie that's these guys' lives. So it's not, they're not coming in and just picking up someone else's story and being like, oh, I can make a great movie about that. There's just these two guys were best friends growing up in San Francisco and then wrote a movie about it and made it and got picked up by A24 and obviously did pretty well critically.
Was it a Sundance film?
It was, yeah. He won Best Director prize at it.
Okay, Best Director.
I don't think it won Best. Yeah, all it says right here is Best Director. So
yeah. I really like, not in this movie, I like this Finn Wittrock guy. I see him in a lot of random things.
Yeah, he's in The Big Short.
He's the realtor. Yeah, he's always a small role. He's in The Big Short. He's in Deepwater, which is a shit movie. But I like him in that, I guess. I guess.
He's just a guy that looks good in a nice suit.
Yeah, he does. He's in If Beale Street Could Talk, which is a great movie, but he's just a very small role in a lot of things. And I feel like he does a good job. Again, he sucks ass in this, but
I like Donnie Glover.
He does Danny
well.
Glover. I like Danny Glover as well.
He's in some classics. He's in so many films.
Well, yeah, I think he's a pretty well-known actor at this point, but I think he does a good job as Mont's grandpa. I think what takes this movie over the top for me is the acting performances, and I think that's what Tyler said as well, and how it looks. Obviously, not really a ton of spoilers other than the house wasn't built by his grandpa.
Yeah, there's not really much to go into. I think it's just one of them you have to kind of watch and understand yourself, and I think it's also one of them that requires maybe some sort of personal connection to really love it. I guess, well, not requires, but it would help in my experience. But I think it was a really, really good film. I think technically there's not really many points I can say didn't work on a technical level. I just think some of the writing let it down slightly, but very, very slightly. And it's definitely one to watch. But I haven't really got anything else. I don't think that you can really spoiler this.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Like I said at the beginning, I didn't think we'd really need to break it up into spoilers and non-spoilers because it's just kind of one of those movies that is a drama, and it's not really a drama that's hinging on a big plot twist or some heartbreaking moment exactly that's going to kind of be the catalyst for the movie. It's just a drama that's about San Francisco and about Jimmy Fails and about life and change and gentrification and masculinity, and it's really there's nothing really spoiled here. I just think it's a very solid film. I think, like Seth said, there's some issues that people can have with it, but with all those said, a 3.5 is still kind of the lowest anyone can perceive anyone really going on a movie like this. I don't really see how anyone.
Have you looked at the reviews?
Is there a lot of people that hate on it?
There's some quite low ones. Yeah, some people.
Yeah, really but the biggest one by far is a 4-star. That's kind of the main review.
Oh yeah. Most people
right, for sure. I don't have anything else to say about it. Cam, do you?
Not a lot of fun facts in this one, other than kind of like Jimmy Fails. He wrote it, and it's kind of about him.
Based on his life.
Yeah, but that really not a ton of fun facts, other than this movie got a successful 2015 Kickstarter campaign, raised $77,000. As of Christmas 2020, none of the contributors had been rewarded, so that stinks.
Really?
Hopefully 3 years later, maybe they've been rewarded now, but yeah, I don't know. Those are the only fun facts I could find, and obviously there was a ticking noise at some point or another, I'm sure. I didn't have anything for this week.
Yeah, well, we'll leave it at that. So Seth gives it a 4 to 5 star. Cam, what do you give it out of 100? You said 93 out of 100, 4.5 out of 5.
93, yeah, 4.5.
And then I give it a 90 or 9. Almost caught me slipping. A 9.6 out of 10 for 5 star. So yeah, I think I'll definitely rewatch this at some point. Like it's a 5-star A24 film for me. So we'll see how this ages. But yeah, there's our review. Sucks about Jonathan Majors and what all can come of that. Again, this is being uploaded like 6 days later than when we filmed it. So who knows what comes out with news, positive or negative. But yeah, just shitty any way you cut it. Thank you for watching our review, though. Solid suggestion this week. We all did enjoy the movie, and I'm sure George did as well, even though he couldn't be here. But thank you, Marcellus, for recommending it. If you want to be a part of our Patreon, go check out our page. We have plenty of tiers over there. We had a Q&A this week, which is a Patreon benefit for any tier. So go check it out. Go join us over on Patreon to keep helping us make more and more content for you all like this. But with that being said, we hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you on the next episode of Real Talk.